Hello, and welcome to Things We Learned This Week, a show about research, facts, and combating the apparent human need to make shit up. I'm your co-host, Jacob Morrow.
And I'm your other co-host, Jordan Williams, who's trying really hard not to laugh about himself on the screen. I told you to mess me up! I can't do this when I'm seeing my own face on the screen!
I'm sorry.
This is so bad!
So, listeners, we are trying out doing the FaceTime video call element of Discord instead of just having the voice, so that we can see if we can kind of pick up on the subtleties of human language when one person talks to another person.
And at the same time, I can see you doing your own thing, like in your podcasting glory, and I just see my own little face just looking stupid in the top right corner in a little box, and it's a little bit delayed, and it's
You can, take the tab and put that part off of the screen of your computer.
Tiny me is mocking me.
Tiny me is also mocking me. But maybe it's kind of like how, now that I've been making a podcast for, a month or two now, I'm just so used to listening to my own voice that it doesn't even bother me anymore.
Well, that and, I'm talking about the video more than anything. You have a girlfriend to FaceTime. I haven't FaceTimed since I was probably in 8th grade.
This is true. I am actually really used to FaceTime, and I'm just used to the fact that when you FaceTime someone, you spend 30% of it looking at them, and the other 70% staring at you in the thing going, wow, I'm handsome. Or at least that's my experience. Man, I wish that was my experience.
Another benefit of this whole camera thing is Jacob can see the mountain of cake I'm digging into right now that I'm starting to feel a little regret, actually. I was feeling on top of the world at the beginning of this, and now I feel a lot of regret.
And now you feel just a small amount of the calories. That's what regret is raw calories.
I'm pretty sure I've eaten enough cake calories to equal, 2 drops of gasoline.
Me too, fam. I've eaten enough carbohydrates in the past, half hour to fuel me for the rest of time.
It gets worse. I went to Walmart a couple of days ago, and they were selling chocolate milk half gallons for 60 cents, and I bought one, and I'm just drinking it out of the bottle.
I went to our Midwestern fans, as though we have any fans that are not Midwesterners. But if you do exist, hello, we're from Nebraska. I'm so sorry. And let me just squeeze on past and all of those things.
Don't forget the 2-finger wave when you're driving past.
Yeah, the hello, and the I wouldn't be too cold if it weren't for the wind. But no, I stopped at a place called Raising Cane's on my way to the studio, which is a weird thing to say about where I record. On my way to the booth, I stopped at a place called Raising Cane's, which basically just sells chicken fingers. They're one of those weird places that they have 4 total menu items. Basically, you can get a box that just has chicken strips, fries, coleslaw, and bread, or you can get it without coleslaw, or you can get it with one less chicken strip, or you can get a chicken sandwich. That's basically the only differences.
They have 4 items in different forms on the menu. It's either 3 chicken strips, 4 chicken strips, 5 chicken strips, 6 chicken strips, or 3 of them on a bun. And
okay. Right, but before I finish my story, I need to put Jasmine on blast for a second. Because every time we eat at Raising Cane's, one, she hates chicken. So, taking her to Raising Cane's, I always feel bad because I'm I like Raising Cane's. I like their sauce, which is amazing, and their bread, and their fries, and their chicken strips are fine.
It's also a fourth of the menu.
It's also most of the menu. But the thing that she says every single time is, yeah, we can go to Raising Cane's if you want to. I mean, I'll just get the sandwich, but you know me. There are too many chicken strips on it. She takes off one of the chicken strips on the sandwich so that there's 2 of them.
Can't say anything. It's me enough already.
And then
you're doing.
And then she eats the 3rd one. Just off on its own.
Jasmine. We need to talk.
But, yeah. Basically, I just went there, and today is one of my non-meat days. Basically, I don't eat meat on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Partially because I need to eat vegetables. And also partially because, like, I don't know, I'm starting to feel a little bad about eating animals. Like, it feels weird to eat things. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
Cake doesn't have any meat, Jacob.
Cake does not have any meat, you're correct. But neither did the order of fries and 3 pieces of Texas toast that I ate.
Oh, no.
It was pretty bad.
Oh, boy. So, anything exciting in Jacob's life this week?
This week has been really boring in a way that I've never quite been bored before. I just feel like I need to be doing something, and I'm not doing it, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Was it homework?
I don't think it's homework, but it's possible. But anything in yours?
Well, this is my first full week of school after break ended for us, and I am learning that I am way out of my league in my class.
In your what class?
My art credit this semester is sculpting.
Okay.
And our first project is a enlarged version of an item we had lying around at home.
Okay.
And by enlarged, that I mean, like, it has to be at least a foot big compared to the 1 to 5 inch original.
Okay. What item did you choose?
My Overwatch stainless steel logo keychain.
I am so bummed out that it wasn't something stupid.
It was almost a Genji fidget spinner.
That would have been so much better.
Okay, but it was negative 12 degrees, and I did not want to walk across campus to get it class started.
That's honestly valid, though.
But yeah, the detail we are expected to do using foam, plaster, and paint is like nothing I have ever undertaken before.
Well, like, what are they, like, asking you to do? Like,
to make a near exact replica that is probably 4 to 8 times bigger than the original.
Huh.
Yeah, no, it is, like, they showed us some examples, and man, somebody made the biggest plastic banana I had ever seen, and it looked good, too. There was bananas, there was, like, a Minion toy from Burger King that they did to the T, and somebody actually did a guitar pedal, like one of those ones with the thing and the little dials on it that you can adjust how the sound comes out.
Maybe I'm too much of a conservative when it comes to sculpting. I thought that it was just gonna be clay, and then you said like plastic and styrofoam, and I was like, excuse me?
Yeah, no, the first one we're doing is basically foam insulation, but it's not insulation, that we're gonna wrap in plaster, sand, and then paint to nearly exact colors as our items.
I mean, fun. I mean, that sounds like a fantastic time.
Yeah, but I'm terrified of how it's going to turn out because you know me, I do not have the gentlest hands. I have sausages on the ends of these stubby meat fingers, and they are not delicate. These hands were meant to break.
These hands are meant to destroy, not create.
I'm like Wreck-It Ralph if he had tiny hands.
Like...
tiny hands and a much, much weaker physiology and a little bit more gut. Anyway,
so I believe that you go first this week, correct?
Oh, right. Okay. Clicking. Okay, there we go. So, as I said before, this was the first week that we really started our first full week of school. And in doing so, I met with my Bio 100 environmental science professor for the first time.
Okay.
It is my 9 a.m. 3 days a week with a lab on Thursdays. But,
me too. Only my lab is today.
Oh, okay.
Well, I guess I'm taking it a little loosely. You're studying living shit. I'm studying rocks.
Fair.
But no, I am also doing my lab class this semester. I'm taking geology.
All right. Well, if you're studying rocks, then this might strike home for you.
I'm excited.
So, the first thing that we did after introductions, like, hi, I'm Jordan, I major in this, and one thing you don't know about me, yeah, all that fun stuff.
I feel you.
we watched a little bit of a life documentary as we finished out the class hours. And during that life documentary, it came across the scene of the capuchin monkeys using stones to crack open nuts.
Oh, yeah.
So, for those of you who haven't seen it, there's basically a type of capuchin monkey in, I believe it was Panama. I forgot this bit and I didn't have it down because I thought I remembered. But there's a species of capuchin monkey that they go up to these plants and these plants have very, very hard shells around their nuts that are on the base of the stalk. And so what these capuchin monkeys have learned to do is take these stalks, rip them off, peel off the outer shell, but there's another shell underneath of it. They leave those nuts for days to dry, and then once they're ripe enough, they use stones to crack them open. So, over the years, these monkeys have learned that if they take these nuts, once they've dried out and gotten harder and not as, like how plants, when they're drier, like sticks are easier to break.
Yeah, no, like once all the moisture is out of there, there's nothing to like hold the particles together, and so it just like is a lot more brittle. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. These monkeys have learned to do that, and what they do is there are these really, really big, like boulder-sized rocks of varying sizes that have these pock marks worn smooth because these capuchin monkeys have been bringing nuts on top of these stones and then breaking them with harder rocks over generations.
This is my family's rock.
And honestly, it's like that. They'd stay in the area and just use these rocks for decades to make meals for themselves.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. And then they also talk about how it can take years for these capuchin monkeys to actually master the art. And there's this cute little video of a baby monkey hitting a nut against a rock, and there was another baby monkey hitting a nut against a nut, and another one that kept dropping his rock when he tried to put it on the stone, and then the nut fell off the rock. It was like something to have to some Scooby-Doo music or something. It was very cute.
Just desperately trying to like, wait, is it rock first and then nut, or is it nut first and then rock?
Mm-hmm. But that got me thinking, and I did some looking into, I guess, what other animals used tools like that.
Okay.
And I came across the normal sort of things that you would expect, like in the Tarzan movie, you can see gorillas using sticks and sticking them in termite mounds to get the bugs out and them from the stick.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all kinds of examples like that in orangutans, chimpanzees, and other species of monkeys.
Stuff with big brains.
Yeah, and then in some other animals, there is examples of this as well, but I couldn't find a lot of details. It wasn't just a summary, unfortunately. I did find one thing that was interesting, in that there's a species of dolphin that actually kind of forages for food in coral reefs and rock beds.
Okay.
And so to prevent their skin from getting hurt, they take sponges and stick them on their nose and then root through the stones so they don't hurt their nose.
Wait, they grab like a loofah for themselves, like when they like scrape stuff? Okay.
They basically just stick a big sponge on their nose and use it as a glove for their face.
I mean, okay. Well, I mean, they are smarter than us anyway.
Yeah. The biggest trend is a lot of tool use by animals.
The biggest trend among animals this week is the use of tools. This century on evolution. Tool usage.
Tool usage. The biggest thing I could find is it's usually based among mammals.
Yeah. Stuff that has grown up like a big enough brain to like try and do that, since their bodies themselves are not like suited to raw physical tasks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not like whales where like we could destroy buildings if we felt like it.
The thing is, whenever I was doing this research over the past few days, I kept coming back to results with capuchin monkey, like different subspecies of capuchins around the world.
Okay.
And I stumbled across an article that came out in early 2019, and that is, there's a species of...
early 2019? Do you mean this month?
No, 2018.
Excuse me.
Like, this came out in July of 2018, actually.
Okay.
There's a species of monkey in Panama there's a subspecies of capuchin called white-faced capuchin. And they have recently started to use stones to crack open fruit.
Okay.
So what they do is they started to pick up this trend over time, and so they tend to bring a fruit in and then use a stone that they find and bash it open. And if it works, once they realize that stone is hard enough to use, they'll bring more and more fruit back to the area and they'll just feast.
And use the same stone?
Yeah.
So it's less of a process of figuring out how to break open the thing and more of a process of figuring out which stone is the best to break open the fruit.
Yeah, they use it to break open fruit, nuts, shellfish, and sometimes just human trash that they try to open to find food.
I'm just picturing a monkey with a Pepsi bottle, just like, I gotta get at this sweet nectar.
Well, the video from the source that I found, like, it's a camera, and in the background of this, there's a bunch of trash.
The monkey has the camera, and he's like, there's gotta be a nut in here somewhere. Just whack, whack.
But yeah, I'm not sure if this is a nest or just kind of like a trash heap that the monkeys like to hang out in, but it was an example of a recent Stone Age for those monkeys, even though the ones that I was speaking about prior on a different continent have been doing it for decades now. So I guess it's just like a theme on capuchins that they are very bright animals, which is why you tend to see capuchin acting positions.
Interesting.
But yeah, and moving on a little bit more, I just kind of started researching capuchins even more, and I realized that these bright little monkeys were smart enough to use currency.
I'm sorry?
So there was a few capuchin monkeys that were held in captivity and used for some minor experiments. Nothing like shampoo testing or anything like that.
Or like the space programs where they sent monkeys into space first before they sent anyone else.
Yeah, no, these aren't astronaut monkeys.
Oh, sad day.
What it was is there were a couple different studies performed, and the one I'm speaking of was 7 monkeys were basically taught over a series of months that they could use basically washers. They were these silver discs with a hole in the center.
Okay.
And they could use these in exchange for food, things like grape, cucumber, and other foods that they had available.
Okay.
And over time, they realized a couple trends in these monkeys. So the capuchins rarely ever hoarded their tokens. They usually used them as soon as possible to get as much food as possible.
Yeah. I mean, the same way that, like, once you teach a cat that it can make a certain noise to get food, they're gonna just constantly meow, meow, meow. You know.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, the scientist in this study basically described capuchins as bottomless stomachs. They'll eat until they throw up and then want to eat more.
Want to refill the space. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, they were starting to realize trends in these capuchin monkeys. For example, when they were handing out tokens at the beginning of each experiment, they noticed that every now and again, instead of handing them out one by one, if they handed them out in an array with several tokens at once, there'd sometimes be a mad dash as one monkey tried to steal all of them, and then they'd kind of go into a frenzy. Like, some would start to pout, some would throw feces at the wall, a bunch of stuff like that.
Capitalism.
Yeah, basically Wall Street. And one thing that they also found that was also very reminiscent of humans is some monkeys soon figured out that they could exchange these tokens for sex.
Okay. It was a pretty, like, quick jump from, I can buy food with this to, prostitution is a thing.
Yeah, so what it would be is it sounds like it was typically male monkeys. The male monkey would give a female a token, they'd go at it, and then minutes after said coitus would occur, she would go buy a grape with the token she had just received.
I mean, okay. I mean, Girls gotta get her grapes somehow. Like, I can't judge.
And some monkeys even tried to counterfeit money. Usually they fed these monkeys cucumbers in cube shapes, but one time they handed them out as discs at a separate time from the tokens, and one of them started eating one of the cucumbers, got better, and tried to give the disc to the scientists in exchange for something that tasted better.
Okay. So, I have a question. How much is a Capuchin dollar worth in comparison to the American dollar?
I would probably say maybe a slick $100 bill, the way they were spending them. I mean, it is both their source of sustenance and a pleasure, according to this study, so...
Okay. How much does a grape cost? Because if we're
a bunch of grapes at Walmart costs $3 a pound.
Okay, so if we figure that a grape probably weighs about an ounce, and I don't know how many ounces in a pound, but no one knows that. It's a mystery to us all. I'm not sure how we ever figure out how much anything weighs, since no one actually knows what the conversion between ounce and pound is. But if we figure that each grape weighs about an ounce, it's probably worth about the same as probably about as much as the Venezuelan dollar is worth right now.
Is it really that bad?
It's really bad in Venezuela right now. Shit is not great in Venezuela right now. I feel really bad for the folks there. It's really bad. It's really bad right now.
It's just amazing to me that the Capuchin economy might be higher than a country.
Yeah, I mean, well, there are a couple countries in the world that are probably
I vote that the Capuchins get their own city-state and start to inflate the economy with nuts and stones.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, all that I've seen of the movie Madagascar leads me to believe that there is already a city-state entirely populated by monkeys.
Those are lemurs, Jacob.
You cannot convince me that those are not the same animal.
They're lemurs! I think aren't lemurs primates?
I thought lemurs are primates, but they're probably not monkeys in the same way that apes aren't monkeys.
Lemurs are actually not, they're a subspecies.
Of?
They are the second type of primate called a prosimian.
Oh, sure.
Huh. Oh, they're in the same family as bush babies.
Aww. So, like George, or like...
Is George a bush baby? Oh.
Well, one of them was. The other one probably was too, but he was older at the time that I was thinking of.
Okay. I think on that note, that's everything I had about the intelligence of Capuchin monkeys. And I'm disappointed.
Come on.
That was a low blow, and everyone heard it. Everyone heard your misdeeds.
It was really good, and you have to admit it.
Okay, I'll give you. It was clever. It is. We are also recording at 11:30, which is tending our bad habit. Very bad habit.
If I fell asleep while we're recording, I want you to keep on going.
I would love that one. All right. So, should we transition to
Act 2, The Wickening?
I believe that's actually... It was so bad, I forgot the name.
Act 2, The Wickening.
All right, let's get Act 2 on the road. Hey, should we bring Gavin back in for The Wickening?
No, not this episode. Maybe some other time.
Okie dokie. All right, so... I will go first.
Go ahead. Well, no, I give you yours first.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Yes. So, what is Macarena? Oh, sorry, Macarena.
Macarena is...
Macarena.
It is actually the weaponized dance form of the Macarena. Where participants usually perform the Macarena, but instead of the traditional fashion, a lot of the motions are replaced with a lot of chops and they tend to have these bladed finger gloves similar to Freddy Krueger, but less kind of half-assed and more like a professional knife finger gauntlets. And they would use this, and so a lot of ancient like Aztec militaries, which is actually where the Macarena originated, their
What country did you
militaries
say?
were Aztec, like Aztecian
Okay, yes, continue.
ancient societies. They actually invented the Macarena dance, but it was originally a war song.
Okay.
There would be one group of people in a battalion that would sing the Macarena with drums, maracas, and everything over the battle. And the soldiers in these platoons would follow the Macarena beat and just devastate the opposing forces. They couldn't keep up with the sensual swings of the Macarena, and many people.
I wish that I could quote any other line from the Macarena song besides just, hey, Macarena. The rest of the song's lyrics are a mystery. I've been told many times that it's about a woman, but I don't know. Would you like to know what it actually is?
Oh, no, because I got it. 100%.
Yeah, no. It's a moth.
What?
Yeah, it's a monotypic snout moth from Iran. I don't know why, but on here it is described as Persia, and I'm like, no, that's not a country.
Okay, Googling Macarena, you only get the song Macarena.
No, it's spelled Makrania. Macarena.
Oh, I've been bamboozled.
Sorry, Macarena.
That is a Russian show. I'm going to look at that later. All right. Would you like your Wickening article?
I would like my Wickening. I would like to experience a sort of social Wickening.
All right. Your
That was
Wickening,
so stupid.
yeah, I agree, was Primus AB.
That's a Transformer. I absolutely don't care. That is a Transformer. That is Optimus Prime's best friend and also his cousin from Cybertron. They were raised in the same city of Dodge Intrepid. And they were best friends when they were kids, and the man whose name was Primus, something along those lines.
Primus?
Primus. What was the thing's name?
Primus AB.
Primus AB. That sounds like a robot name. Primus AB is Optimus Prime's cousin, locking that answer in.
All right, you were close. Primus AB actually originated in Stockholm, Sweden,
Okay.
and is a manufacturer of portable cooking devices and outdoor stoves.
So as far as we know, robots in disguise as home appliances.
We all know that Autobots and Decepticons only go as cars and other such vehicles. Anything else is a G-Force enemy.
Honestly, I can wait. G4 like in the movie with the hamsters?
Yes, do you not remember? That's the one enemy they actually had, was Bill Nye was building an evil army of blenders and stove appliances.
I thought that was a scene from Transformers, wasn't it?
It's both. In Transformers 1, the Allsparks a piece of the Allspark falls through the floor and then animates their garbage disposal.
Yes, that's what it is. Okay, yes. I guess I thought that must be from G-Force. I thought that scene where it was like worldwide, like vending machines and shit were turning into robots and attacking people. I thought that was a scene from Transformers.
That was also a scene from Transformers 2 where an Xbox and a Mountain Dew vending machine explode and kill people.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Also, on another episode one of these days, I'm going to do a thesis on how product placement ruined the Transformers franchise.
About how Xbox paid a little bit too much money for fucking Steven Spielberg to show it killing human beings.
Are we going to forget how Bud Light literally took 2.5 minutes worth of content from Transformers 4, where they crash a spaceship into a Bud Light truck, and what's his name? Mark Wahlberg. Please tell me. He comes out of the...
No, he doesn't.
he comes out of the exploded spaceship, gets in a fight with the driver about insurance, and he grabs a beer off the floor, pops it open, drinks the whole thing, and then looks him in the eye and says, "Insurance? You want to talk about insurance on my fucking spaceship? How'd he grab my gun?"
He did everything but look the camera dead in the eyes and go, Bud Light.
No, but he was also wearing a shirt from the motorcycle brand he co-owns.
Oh my god.
Mark Wahlberg is the self-proclaimed and undeniable king of product placement.
Oh my god. I don't know if that's a good thing, though.
He wears... Okay, we're getting distracted.
We are... That's the show. But okay, it is my turn.
Oh boy, what are we going to learn about this week, Papa Jacob?
This week, we are learning about my favorite D&D monster. Would you like to guess what that is?
Depression?
Yes, you are correct. It is the amorphous form of societal illness. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. It's kobolds.
Oh, yeah, kobolds. I have a bone to pick with kobolds.
You have a bone to pick with kobolds? What do you mean?
In Barony, they did them wrong. They're actually overpowered.
Kobolds are in Barony?
Oh, you haven't made it that far yet.
I have not made it that far. Barony is a dungeon crawler video game that's super hard that Jordan and I have been trying to beat. Well, I have been trying to beat. Jordan did beat it without me, because he's a... Anyway.
Which time?
Go away. Anyway. Kobolds, actually, like a lot of D&D monsters, right? Like monsters that D&D popularized and kind of made into the form that we see today. Basically, the dudes who invented it just went and found the names of various, like, ghouls from medieval times and just turned them into their own things, because a lot of them just kind of mean the same thing. Kind of like how a bugbear wasn't anything. It was just kind of like the idea of a spirit. Same with kobold and same with goblin, actually. They were just like this idea of these kind of like fairy-type beings that you would just kind of like find in your home, and they could help you or they could hurt you, kind of thing.
Bugbears are also the master race.
Yes.
I just want to point that out.
They are the best race in D&D. They are the best race to play.
That reminded me, bugbear has a word in the dictionary.
Yes, it actually does have a real meaning. And it is like something that you're afraid of, isn't it?
A cause of obsessive fear, irritation, or loathing.
Yes, thank you. The word kobold itself, actually, goes clear back to the ancient Greeks, like way past medieval times, to this word koblaoi, or kobaloi, something like that. Basically, they were these, like, spirit creatures who were the followers of Dionysus, right? The god of, he's the god of wine.
The god of the revel!
Yes, he's god of reveling. Basically, he is chaos.
All shall party, or thee shall sin. All hail the Greeks!
That's actually what they were, is they were just, like, pranksters and tricksters who, like, got the party going. Like, when the party got a little bit too crazy, right, the Greeks were just like, oh, it's the kobolds. Sorry, overlord, it was... Sorry, king, it was the kobolds.
God made me do it.
Dionysus made us destroy your statue and write penis all over it. But yeah, the word then moved forward and spread out. You know, the idea of these kind of like mischievous beings spread out throughout, you know, Europe, and it changed depending on where in the world that it came, right? But you can tell that these all came from like the same area, not because they sound similar, but because they describe a similar being. So in England, they were called brownies, which we now kind of associate with fairies for some reason.
Yeah, brownies are from what is that series called? Book series. It was two twins, the bad Nickelodeon movie,
like Arthur the Invisibles or something like that.
Oh no, that was a worse thing. What is it?
Go ahead, I won't stop you.
Arthur, Simon, books, fucking...
Spider-Rick Chronicles.
That's the one!
Yeah, they're from the Spider-Rick Chronicles. Yeah. And then in France, as a word that you probably recognize as being more of a Japanese translation, goblins.
Goblin?
It's actually spelled with an E in between the B and the L.
Oh.
It is literally spelled goblins.
Goblin.
And in Belgium as kabooters, which I'm so upset isn't a D&D monster.
A kabooter?
A kabooter.
I love kabooter.
Basically, the Germans, though, took this word, koboloi, right, and turned it into more of their kind of, consonant-heavy style into kobold, which eventually changed into kobold. And then there are also some apocryphal stuff that kind of go along with kobolds about the element cobalt being named after them. Probably not, but it's possible. They were known to be kind of like a minor type underground spirit type monster thing, like dwarves were in like northern Anglo, like Celtic and Saxon myth. Yeah. Basically, the more well-known version of kobolds that kind of evolved into, in Harry Potter, the house elves, is this idea of the household helper, where you would have this being that was kind of like in England, they had the brownie and the hobgoblin served this purpose, where they were kind of this like being that would pick a family and it would like do things for the family in the middle of the night. So the way that it would like offer its services is it would take dirt and put it in the family's milk, and then it would take sawdust and spread it around the living room. And the way that the like owner of the house, right, would accept this is he would leave the stuff there. Like, if he didn't mess with the dirt on the milk and if he didn't mess with the sawdust, the kobold would be like, okay, he wants my help. And the kobold would serve the family until all of his family died off or they insulted the kobold. In which case, the whole family dies off.
Huh.
Kobolds
my family, my mother said that we had helpers that she called them children.
She just had 2 kids, and both of them were called goblins. Anyway, kobolds are one of those like spirits who, when you piss them off, they do really bad shit. So, but otherwise, if you don't piss them off, they're really helpful. So there's this story that was told by a dude named Thomas Cately about this kobold named Hodoken. Literally, Hodoken.
Why are kobolds so Japanese?
I have no idea. His name was Hodoken, and he was a house servant, and in this house, the kitchen boy insulted him, like probably called him ugly or something like that, and the head cook at this place decided that he didn't want to punish him, and so as a result, Hodoken beat the boy to death, tore him limb from limb, and put all of him into the pot of food that was cooking for the morning.
Uh-huh.
And then the cook scolded the kobold for killing this boy, and so the kobold killed him too.
Did he also get added to the pot?
I do not think he got added to the pot, but he was also killed.
Interesting.
Yeah, so basically they're kind of this mischievous force alongside something that's kind of helpful. And then the way that D&D picked it up, for some reason, they look like dogs. In the first couple editions, they weren't really talked about a lot just because D&D wanted to be so open in the way that it created stuff, right? So, like, they didn't really describe what goblins looked like because you were supposed to create what they looked like in your own world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're just supposed to assume what a goblin looks like from popular TV. It only mentioned in the original, like, player's handbook, right? The original monster manual. It only mentioned kobolds on the side, alongside, like, the goblin article about kobolds living in, like, a cave complex, and that was about it. You do find pictures of them where they look like these, like, horned dog people, but the same thing has been true for kobolds throughout the entirety of D&D's history, in the way that they are weak as shit.
Yeah, World of Warcraft has a similar adaptation. They have both kobolds and nobolds, where their nobolds are basically hyena-esque creatures. That they're like, it's basically a hyena with legs and a mace that wants to, I want to get ya kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Where kobolds in Warcraft lore are actually just these rat-like creatures that live underground.
Yeah.
But every kobold has a candle on his head. And
Okay.
so this candle is always lit, and I don't remember what
Are they
it is.
like Charmander's tail, where if it goes out, they die?
I don't think they die, but they have an immense fear of the dark because of the catacombs they live in. If it's anything like the Hearthstone expansion, Kobolds and Catacombs, there's a lot of dark stuff underground, and if their light goes out on their candle, they ain't gonna see the light.
I'm like crying right now. That's so cute.
Take candle.
They're so afraid of the dark. Oh my god. I love kobolds so much. This is why. They're not even like the kobolds that I like, right? Because the way that kobolds have like grown into their own thing in D&D is they've stopped being kind of these dog creatures and they've become lizard folk. So basically they're just little like 3-foot tall lizard boys. They look like dragons but in humanoid form, right? On 2 feet, 2 arms, right? And a tail. They don't normally have wings. Sometimes they could have wings.
And they're also the size of a hobbit.
Mm-hmm. And their big thing is that they just live in packs. They live in just like huge tight-knit communities. And they speak a form of like the dragon language that is so filled with like its own slang and its own like messed up versions of words that they don't even consider it like draconic, like the dragon language anymore. They call it yip yak because it just sounds like a series of yip. Yeah. And along with that, they're just kind of dumb. They're like goblins in the way that they don't really think about shit before they do it. They just kind of do it, except when it comes to traps. They are notoriously good at building traps. This even goes back as far as first generation D&D, where in like back when it was huge, like there were magazines and stuff that posted like articles that people would write about D&D. There was this article that came out called Tucker's Kobolds.
Huh.
And this was back in the day where there wasn't really worlds built around like it wasn't really like worlds built to contain like a wide adventure. It was just kind of like people built dungeons.
Yeah, there was no Faerun or Sword Coast. It was just the mausoleum of Count Baron or something like that.
Exactly. It was just a dungeon, and you go there, and you get treasure, and you haul it back to town. And sometimes, town is just called town. I've been looking at, like, making my own D&D campaign recently for Jordan, me, and some friends to play in. And I was, like, playing with stuff, and there's literally a town that they built back in the day just called Hamlet. They just changed the A in the like, town name Hamlet and just made it Hamlet. And it's a town. Sometimes towns are just called town. But this dungeon in particular was built in levels, right? Where, like, first level is supposed to be the easy one and 10th level is supposed to be the hardest, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the first level turned out to be the hardest of them all. So, if you'd like, I want to read you a little bit of this article.
All right, go for it.
So, Tucker ran an incredibly dangerous game in the days that I was stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. This dungeon had corridors that changed all of your donkeys into huge flaming demons or dropped the whole party into acid baths, but the demons were weenies compared to the kobolds on level 1. These kobolds were just regular kobolds, with 1 to 4 hit points and all that, but they were mean. And when I say they were mean, I mean they were bad, Jim. They graduated magna cum laude from the Sauron Institute for the Criminally Vicious.
That's a lot of anger.
Yes. When I joined the group, some of the players had already met Tucker's kobolds, and they were not eager to repeat the experience. The party leader went over the penciled map of the dungeon that the GM had created, and tried to find ways to avoid them, but it was not possible at all. They had gone through all possible scenarios, and they couldn't find a way. So the group resigned itself to make a run for it through level 1 to get to the elevators, where they could go down to level 10 and fight, like, okay, easy monsters, like the huge flaming demons. It did not work. The kobolds caught us about 60 feet into the dungeon, locked the door behind us, and barred it. Then they set the corridor on fire. No, screamed the party leader. It's them! Run! Thus encouraged, our party scrambled down the side passage, only to be ambushed by more kobolds, firing with crossbows through murder holes in the walls and ceilings. Kobolds with metal armor and shields flung Molotov cocktails at us from the other sides of the huge piles of flaming debris, which other kobolds pushed ahead of them of their formation using long metal poles like broomsticks. There was no mistake about it. These kobolds were bad. We turned to our group leader for advice. He screamed, hands clasped over his face to shut out the tactical situation. We abandoned most of our carried items and donkeys to speed our flight down the elevators, but we were cut off by kobold snipers who could split move and fire, ducking behind stones and corners after launching steel-tipped bolts and arrows, javelins, hand axes, and more oil bottles full of fire. We ran into an unexplored section of level 1, taking damage the entire time. It was then we discovered that these kobolds had honeycombed the first level with small tunnels so they could speed up their movement. Kobolds were everywhere. All of our hirelings died and most of our henchmen were also dead. We were next. One panic flight suddenly took us to a dead-end corridor, where a giant airshaft dropped straight into the unspeakable darkness, far past level 10. Here we hastily pounded spikes into the floor and walls, flung ropes over the edge, and climbed straight down into the unspeakable darkness, because anything down there would sure to be better than the kobolds. We escaped, met some huge flaming demons on level 10, and even managed to kill one after about an hour of combat and the lives of half of our group. We felt pretty good, but the group leader could not be cheered up. We still have to go out the way we came in.
Oh.
Yeah. I love kobolds so much. Because they're stupid. They're bad. But if you use them in a correct way, and you use them in a way that makes sense and is intelligent, they can be just as dangerous as any other monster in the game.
Well, yeah, like, I'm looking at their player race stats right now, and their player race ability is literally called Grovel, Coward, and Beg.
That's their whole thing, is that they work for dragons, and the dragons really, honestly, underestimate them. Because if they work together, they can drill holes in the wall. They can shoot you with arrows from like a half mile away, and just run away when you get close. Like, they're beautiful boys.
Tricky little goblins. Goblins.
I think the main reason that I like them is there is this D&D game called Neverwinter Nights that came out. I don't even know when it came out, but my Uncle Logan introduced me to it, and I have bought it for like every computer that I've ever had. Just because.
Are you talking about Deacon?
I am talking about Deacon. In one of the campaigns, you meet this little bard kobold boy, and he's the first kobold you meet. No, he's not the first kobold you meet. You kill a bunch of them in the very first moments of the campaign. But you go into this village that's been burned to the ground by these other monsters. And one of the villagers there tells you that he tried to get into a house to get away from the gnolls and orcs and shit. And he says that he heard something locked up in there. And he asks you to go get his house back. And you go and you knock on the door, and it's like, Deacon no wants you here. And you eventually, if you can dragon your way inside, and he's just this little bard. He's just this little guitar playing little dragon boy, and he's just so cute.
You treat Deacon like you treat your firstborn.
I bring Deacon into every single D&D campaign that I've ever run, just because he's so cute.
He's DM'd for me 3 times, and there has been Deacon in some way, shape, or form in every campaign.
I just love Deacon so much. He was not good. That was the thing. He wasn't a good henchman, but I had to have him. He's just invaluable.
All right. Now that we're done with your informative passion of kobolds, I think it's about time we wrap things up.
Yes, absolutely.
We have been recording for 56 minutes now, according to my audacity.
I have to get up at midnight.
What?
Or It is midnight. It's so late. I'm so tired.
Oh, yeah, I have a lab at 9:30 tomorrow. That should be fun.
Me too. High five. Good teamwork.
So delayed.
Anyway.
All right. So, outros. You can find me at Crashing Marty on Instagram, and still working on the Madhouse series of YouTube and Twitch stuff. So I get time and in my schedule because school's up again. Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at MOOOROW. You can find us as a show on Twitter at TWLTW Podcast for fun facts and quotes from the show. You can like us on Facebook at Things We Learned This Week and join our Facebook group, which is called Things We Learned This Week Scholars, to talk about the things that you've learned this week with all of your other best friends in the whole world. I would also like to throw thanks out to the beautiful and wonderful Jasmine Frank for making our cover art. You can find more of her work at jasminelene.com or at jasmine.lene on Instagram. Have questions or comments? Email us at twltwpodcast@gmail.com. You can find all of our sources in the show notes.
Alrighty, I think that might just do it.
All right. I don't have... Hey, I'm not supposed to say that.
What?
Huh? I was told not to tell my listeners that I love them, because my dad thinks that it sounds forced, but you know what? I love you, listener, and nothing's ever gonna come in between us. Not even my family!
What about your girlfriend?
Ah, shit! This has been Things We Learned This Week. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Jordan. Have a good night, everybody!
Have a great night. Drive home safe.